The heels of my black pumps clicked sharply against the polished marble floors of the cliffside estate as I stepped through the grand entrance. The late afternoon breeze off the Atlantic carried the faint tang of salt mixed with expensive perfume and the distant hum of a string quartet playing soft jazz standards. The crystal chandeliers caught the golden light streaming through tall French doors that opened onto perfectly manicured lawns rolling down to the sea. White roses cascaded from every surface, and waiters in crisp black uniforms glided between clusters of guests holding champagne flutes that sparkled like diamonds. Everything about my brother Ethan's wedding to Isabella Langford screamed perfection, except for the growing knot of unease tightening in my chest. I scanned the room and spotted Ethan near the massive stone fireplace, laughing with his college buddies. He glanced my way, his smile faltering for the briefest second before he flashed an even brighter grin. Too bright. Something fell off. The young usher with slicked-back hair consulted his tablet, flipping pages with growing confusion. "Miss Voss? I'm not seeing your name on the main list. Let me double-check with the coordinator." He hurried off, leaving me standing awkwardly in the entryway as guests streamed past toward prime ocean view tables. A cold prickle ran down my spine. The coordinator, a polished woman in a tailored black suit clutching her tablet like a shield, approached with a tight professional smile. "Miss Voss, welcome." There was a last-minute adjustment. "Let me show you to your table." We walked past elegant round tables adorned with calligraphy place cards, fresh orchids, and sweeping views of the head table where Ethan and Isabella would sit. We kept walking, bypassing the prime seating entirely, until we reached a small round table tucked behind a decorative screen near the swinging kitchen doors. The tablecloth was wrinkled, silverware slightly misaligned, and my place card, Elena Voss, sat next to a discreet sign pointing to the restrooms. My stomach dropped. Is this some kind of mistake? My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. The coordinator's smile didn't reach her eyes. "I'm so sorry for any confusion. The seating chart was finalized by the bride yesterday." She backed away quickly, disappearing into the crowd. Before I could process it, Isabella floated toward me in a cloud of ivory tulle and practiced grace. Her honeyed southern accent dripped false sweetness. "Elena, darling, so glad you made it." She air-kissed near my cheek, careful not to smudge her flawless makeup. "There's clearly been an error with my seating," I said, gesturing toward the isolated table. Isabella's smile hardened at the edges. "No error at all. We had to make some adjustments for family and close friends. You understand how these big events work, right?" Her tone carried a sweet venom that left me momentarily speechless. "This isn't one of your boardrooms. Elena, just sit where you're placed." She turned and glided away, leaving me alone by the kitchen doors where servers bustled past without a glance. My mind raced back 3 months to my sleek office high above downtown Austin skyline. Victor Langford, Isabella's father and CEO of Langford Supply Group, had sat across from me, pen hovering over the contract. "Your AI-driven logistics optimization system is revolutionary. Elena, you solve supply chain bottlenecks our team couldn't crack in years." His firm handshake sealed the $25 million deal that transformed my company, Voss Dynamics, from a scrappy startup into a major player. I had walked him through our headquarters, introducing my team of 52 dedicated engineers who believed in my vision when it was just late-night flowcharts taped to apartment walls. He had marveled at how we streamlined their operations in weeks. Now his daughter had me seated by the kitchen like an afterthought. I straightened the wrinkled tablecloth, fingers tracing the worn edge as the kitchen doors swung open and closed. 3 tables over, I spotted executives from Langford Supply Group and other clients I had personally helped, people whose businesses I had saved millions for. They toasted toward the head table, oblivious to where their miracle worker had been hidden. Heat rose in my chest, but my hands stayed steady as I pulled out my phone and dialed Rachel, my COO and the one person who had been with me since the garage days. "Rachel," I said quietly when she answered. "Activate the termination clause in Section 4.3 of the Langford SLA. Effective immediately." A long pause. "Elena, that's the nuclear option. You're sure?" I watched Isabella laughing with her bridesmaids, Ethan's arm around her waist, our parents beaming at their golden couple. "Pull the EDI feeds too. They'll feel the backlog by morning." I ended the call, accepted a champagne flute from a passing server, and took a deliberate sip. The bubbles tasted sharp, almost like victory. The kitchen doors kept swinging. I had just closed a far more important door. Gregory Victor Langford checked his phone for the third time in minutes, his forehead creasing as he stepped away from the head table. From my isolated spot, I observed his posture stiffen, fist clenching at his side. The band played a smooth rendition of "Fly Me to the Moon," while Ethan whispered something to Isabella. Ethan scanned the room, spotted his new father-in-law pacing by the French doors, then locked eyes with me. Confusion flickered across his face as two Langford executives made hasty excuses and headed for the exit. Mason slid into the empty chair beside me, his navy suit slightly rumpled from his delayed flight from Chicago. "You're late," I murmured, leaning in to kiss his cheek and breathe in his familiar sandalwood scent. He glanced toward Victor, still pacing. "You actually did it, didn't you?" I shrugged casually, though my pulse raced. They seated me by the kitchen door. His eyes widened, taking in the wrinkled tablecloth and restroom sign. A slow smile spread across his face. Their loss. We mingled through cocktail hour, Mason's hand lightly at my back. My parents avoided eye contact when we passed their table. By the first band break, four more Langford executives had vanished. "Elena." Ethan's voice cut through the chatter as he approached us on the terrace overlooking the Atlantic. "A word." Mason squeezed my elbow. "I'll grab fresh drinks." "Alone with my brother." Ethan lowered his voice. "What did you do?" Victor's been on his phone nonstop, something about server access and idle shipping containers in 3 ports. I stared at the golden waves. "Fascinating timing. This is my wedding day," Ethan hissed, the edge in his voice familiar from years past. "Whatever business issue you have with Langford could have waited. Like your wedding planner could have waited to stick me by the bathroom?" I turned to face him. "Or did Isabella decide that herself?" Ethan ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair. "It's not personal. Adjustments had to be made." That's exactly what I told my team when I called them. I swirled the last champagne in my glass. "Just a business adjustment." "You don't get it," he said, stepping closer. "I've been positioning myself for months to land a VP role at Langford. I couldn't let them think my sister was the tech genius who saved their company." The truth hit like ice water. "You knew about my contract." "Of course I knew. Why do you think I introduced Isabella to Mom and Dad so fast?" "Your system was my ticket in." I smiled tightly. "My little system that solved problems their experts couldn't in years." The band struck up a cheerful tune inside. Ethan's shoulders relaxed, mistaking my calm for surrender. "By morning, Langford will lose access to the entire system," I said evenly. "Backlogs are already building. I estimate 3 million in lost revenue by dawn, 20 by week's end." Color drained from his face. "You can't." "I already did." Section 4.3. Breach of confidentiality and good faith. When you downplayed my role, you breached the agreement. Industry contacts began approaching. Thomas Harrington from a rival freight firm praising my recent FreightWaves presentation. Gerald Winters from venture capital expressing interest. Each glanced knowingly at Victor's ongoing crisis. Mason returned seamlessly, grounding me. An hour later, as cake was cut, We approached the head table. Beautiful ceremony, I told Ethan and Isabella with professional detachment. Victor approached, face ashen, muttering urgently to Ethan. My father intercepted us near the exit. What happened with Victor? He mentioned contract issues. I pressed a Voss Dynamics brochure, filled with client testimonials and awards, into his hand. I built this company on mutual respect. I won't compromise that. Even for family. Mason's hand steadied my back as we left. Behind us, the band played on. But the music faded like a distant memory. Flashback to 3 years earlier. I jolted awake on the lumpy pull-out sofa in my tiny office. Neck stiff. Springs digging into my back. Dawn filtered through the single window of the converted storage room in a nondescript Austin office park. The shared bathroom down the hall served 3 struggling startups. My whiteboard dominated one wall, dense flowcharts mapping AI middleware for transport systems that would eventually revolutionize logistics. Rachel stood in the doorway, handing me black coffee strong enough to wake the dead. Slept here again? The algorithm needed tweaking for capacity planning. She raised an eyebrow. Your brother called twice. He's worried. I scrolled missed calls, mostly Ethan and Mom. None promising clients. Worried I'll fail spectacularly. Maybe. The skeleton team arrived, brilliant minds who chose my vision over Google or Amazon offers. We prepped for the PacWest shipping call. If they signed, we survived another quarter. On screen, weathered executives listened as I demonstrated how our AI identified backhaul loads within a 70-mile radius, optimizing time, fuel, and hours. Live pilot data showed 23% fewer empty miles. Their expressions shifted from skepticism to interest. After the call, the office erupted briefly before practicality returned. Proposal by Friday, Rachel said. And payroll Monday. Month 11, seed funding gone. Bank loan denied with a patronizing suggestion, my father cosign. That night I sold my Audi, arriving by Uber with cash envelopes for the team. Company balance, $212.63. Ethan visited, surveying the chaos with benevolent pity. There's always a place at Voss Construction, corner office. Benefits. I'm fine. He gestured to my sofa bed. Mom worries you miss Sunday dinner again. Sunday dinners where Dad grilled Ethan on golf for half an hour before dismissing my computer thing, or Mom called my startup a hobby while she figures things out. I worked until security evicted me to a motel, crying briefly in the shower before returning to the laptop. The algorithm ran flawlessly in simulation, routing phantom trucks across America, saving millions. I just needed to hold on. 5 days post-wedding, I stood at my Austin office window 30 stories up, watching sailboats on the harbor. Victor's messages piled up, desperate pleas I deleted. Rachel entered with news. Industry reports showed Langford stock down 14%. Massive backlogs reported. Ethan had called repeatedly. The original whiteboard from my apartment hung framed in reception beside a Wall Street Journal headline praising Voss Dynamics. New contracts poured in from Langford competitors offering premium rates. In my office, I drafted the final professional email to Langford, adding a line recommending consultants, kindness as the sharpest twist. Scott, Ethan, arrived disheveled. Do you realize what you've done? Victor's company is crumbling. My marriage is on the rocks. I terminated a contract per its legal terms. This isn't just business, it's revenge. I smiled. It's just business. Ethan. Nothing personal. 6 months later, I stood at the glass wall of our new 14-story headquarters. Austin's skyline shimmering. 68 employees now, including recent hires fueled by the Langford fallout. International clients in the conference room praised our system for cutting transit times 32%. Mason waited in my office, Sliding a finalized grant proposal for a mentorship program funding 10 women entrepreneurs. Over dinner at an upscale Italian spot, Mason slipped an emerald ring into my palm. Elena Voss. Will you marry me? Yes, I whispered. The moment feeling like true success, someone who saw my worth from the beginning. 2 weeks later, monthly calls with Mom warmed gradually. She asked genuine questions about the business, mentioning the mentorship article with a note of pride. At the company anniversary gathering, laughter filled the dining hall. I raised a glass to chosen family. Later on the terrace, Mason's arm around me. I twisted the ring, still pushing freight through data, always on my terms. The story lingers with questions. How far should family loyalty extend when respect is withheld? What price do we pay for finally demanding to be seen?